The massive alien ship hovered over the ruins of New York City, its shadow stretching across the crumbling skyscrapers like a funeral shroud. Commander Draz of the Galactic Coalition stood on the observation deck, his four eyes blinking in sequence as he watched the feed from the surface drones. Nothing but ruins as far as sensors could detect. Humans, once the noisy upstarts of the galaxy, had finally fallen silent. Another dead world to add to the archive, Draz said to his science officer, a tall, thin alien named Pelner. Prepare the memorial beacon. Pelner's translucent fingers danced across the control panel. This makes the 5th human colony we've found abandoned. Whatever happened to them was thorough. The Scourge always is, Draz replied softly. The Scourge, a mindless swarm of self-replicating machines, had cut through this sector of space 3 standard years ago. Many species had suffered losses, but humans seemed to have taken the worst of it. Not a single transmission had been detected from their world since. As Pelner prepared to deploy the memorial beacon, a small satellite that would orbit the planet and broadcast the story of its lost inhabitants, the ship's sensors began to wail. "Commander," the tactical officer shouted, her blue scales flashing with alarm colors. Multiple objects emerging from hyperspace. Draz turned toward the main view screen just as 7 sleek vessels of unfamiliar design tore into normal space. They were angular, almost predatory in appearance, with hull plating that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Identify them," Draz ordered, feeling a cold knot form in his stomach. The tactical officer shook her head, unable to match configuration to any known species. "But they're hailing us, sir." On screen. The view screen flickered, and Draz found himself staring at a creature he thought extinct. A human, female with dark skin and close-cropped hair. She wore a simple gray uniform with no visible insignia. "Coalition vessel," she said, her voice calm but carrying an edge that made Draz's spinal ridges stiffen. "This is Captain Diana Frost of the Earth Alliance vessel Remembrance. You are in restricted space." Draz blinked all 4 eyes at once, a sign of shock among his people. "Human, but your species. We thought reports of our extinction were greatly exaggerated," Captain Frost replied with a small smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Now please state your purpose for being in Earth solar space." "Memorial duty," Draz said quickly, finding his voice. "After the Scourge, when no human signals were detected for months, the Coalition declared your species likely extinct. We've been placing memorial beacons on former human worlds." Something flickered across the human's face, pain perhaps, or anger. It was gone so quickly, Draz couldn't be sure. "Your sentiment is noted," she said, "but unnecessary. Humanity survives, Commander. We've simply been otherwise occupied." Before Draz could respond, his science officer interrupted. "Sir, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from these vessels. They're using technology I've never seen before." Captain Frost seemed to hear this. "That's correct. When the Scourge came, we weren't ready. But humans have always had one advantage. We learn quickly." The tactical officer suddenly gasped. "Commander, they're ships. They're powering weapons." "What?" Draz turned back to the screen. "Captain Frost, we are on a peaceful mission. We represent the Galactic Coalition, the same coalition that declared us extinct without searching all our colonies." Her voice remained level, but her eyes had hardened. "The same coalition that voted against sending aid when the Scourge first appeared in our sector." Draz felt his throat constrict. It was true. The Coalition Council had determined the Scourge threat was too great to risk more ships in what they considered a lost cause. They had abandoned the human worlds to their fate. "We didn't have the resources to fight the Scourge," Draz said, knowing how hollow it sounded. "Neither did we," Frost replied, "but we found a way." Suddenly, a new alarm blared across the bridge. "Massive energy signature," Pelner shouted. "Something's coming through hyperspace. It's huge." The space behind the human vessels seemed to tear open, and through this wound in reality emerged something that made Draz's blood run cold. It was a ship, if you could call it that. It looked more like a small moon, its surface a patchwork of different materials and technologies. Parts of it glowed with strange energies, while other sections seemed to shift and change as they watched. "What is that?" Draz whispered. "That," Captain Frost said with unmistakable pride, "is humanity's ark, our survival, our revenge." Pelner's voice shook as he reported, "Sir, I'm detecting Scourge technology integrated throughout that structure, but also other tech, dozens of different technological signatures. When the Scourge came," Frost explained, "we realized we couldn't beat them with what we had, so we salvaged their own technology, learned how they worked from the inside out. We built the Ark from the remains of our destroyed worlds and the corpses of our enemies." Draz couldn't believe what he was hearing. The Scourge technology had always been incomprehensible, dangerous to even approach. No species had ever successfully utilized it. "That's impossible," he said. "The Scourge tech corrupts any system it interfaces with." Frost smiled, and this time it reached her eyes. "Humans are very good at impossible things, Commander, especially when we're cornered." On the view screen, a side panel opened, showing footage from somewhere inside the massive Ark. Thousands, no, millions, of humans moved throughout the structure, living in what appeared to be a self-contained world built within the shell of the massive vessel. "The Scourge destroyed our homes, so we built new ones. They took our technology, so we took theirs. They tried to exterminate us, so we became something they couldn't predict." As if to emphasize her point, the Ark pulsed with energy, and suddenly, the Scourge signal that all coalition ships were programmed to detect and flee from began broadcasting from the human vessel. But it was different, modified somehow. "We survived by becoming part machine ourselves," Frost continued, pulling back her sleeve to reveal an arm laced with circuitry that glowed with the same eerie light as the Scourge technology. "Not assimilated like they wanted, but adapted, on our terms." Draz felt a chill. "You've become like them." "No," Frost said sharply. "We've become what they never could be, a hybrid of organic creativity and machine efficiency, but with our humanity intact. The Scourge is mindless consumption. We are conscious evolution." Suddenly, Draz understood what he was witnessing. While the Coalition had written off humanity as a tragic casualty, they had instead transformed themselves, not extinct, but evolved. "What do you want from us?" Draz asked quietly. "First, to let the Coalition know that Earth and all human colonies are under our protection once more. Second, to offer an alliance." "An alliance?" Pelner echoed in disbelief. "The Scourge is regrouping at the edge of known space," Frost explained. "They've adapted too. Our scouts have detected them building something larger than anything we've seen before. This war isn't over." Draz swallowed hard. The Coalition Council believed the Scourge had moved on to another galaxy. The Council was wrong, again. Frost leaned forward. "We need allies, Commander Draz. Not to save us this time, but to save everyone. Will you carry our message?" For a long moment, Draz stared at this human captain, this survivor of a species that refused to die, that had transformed their greatest defeat into something revolutionary. He thought about the memorial beacon they'd been about to deploy, and how wrong its message would have been. "I will," he finally said. "The Coalition should know that humanity isn't just back. You're the best hope we have." Captain Frost nodded, satisfaction evident in her expression. "Tell them we're coming home, Commander, and this time we're bringing the future with us." As the transmission ended, and the human ships took up escort positions around his vessel, Draz looked out at the massive Ark, a testament to human ingenuity and stubborn refusal to accept extinction. He realized that the galaxy had not witnessed the end of humanity, but rather the birth of something new, a species that had stared into the abyss and forged themselves into something the darkness couldn't swallow. They had not just survived, they had become the light that would push back the night.